Welcome guys to URL Season 2. This is the first race of the season, Bahrain. Just few people, we're just waiting on a few people. We'll get started soon. It's looking up to be a pretty exciting season with previous season's winner, Synatic, trying to get his second season as a champion. It seems to be a pretty competitive division this year, with quite a few top names in PlayStation on PlayStation. Yeah, so we're just waiting on a few more people to join the lobby before we start. Yes, we're going to start now. Everyone should be readying up. Looking at strategies that most drivers will be going for, it will be the soft to hard one stop, or if outside the top 10, quite a powerful strategy is hard to mediums. So let's see who can pull off a good qualifying, but also a strategic qualifying P11 and starting on the hards. That will put you in a good position for the win. As we have our first cars on track, I believe. It's important that they don't take too much life out of the tyres. Bahrain is a pretty rear limited circuit, so expect them to take it nice and steady on the out laps and also their in laps. Riding on board with our reigning champion, racing at it. This year in the AlphaTauri. We have our first person starting the outlap, BSAS. Let's see what he can do. Going down into turn 1, braking just before the 100-meter board. Nice and clean exit. Not running out too wide, which is good. Maximizing the width of the track. Is he going to keep it nice? Yeah. Bit of a snap of oversteer there. 27.5. Pretty good first sector as a banker. A bit of a lock up, but manages to get the apex pretty nicely. Down to a tricky braking zone, locking up, going a bit deep. Ooh, it's not going to help his time. Manages to just about keep it nice and smooth. Now into the fast left-hander. This is where the rear tyres start to fall away and lose grip. It's important to keep the oversteer minimum. Into the last corner. Short shifting to get the traction. At this point the rears are screaming. 24.8, not a bad banker. Let's see URL Tesla going into the last two corners. Bit of a lock up but maximizing the entry. Bit of oversteer. Nice clean exit here. That puts me to P2, very close to BSAS. F1 Dobby, he is 33rd on PlayStation around this track, so expect some quick times from him. We're right on board with him on this lap. Braking just at the 100-meter board. Bit of a lock up but gets it in nice. And short shifting up to 5th to maximise the traction. And going up the hill up into turn 4. Let's see how much of the track. Yes, right on the white line. Perfect. Nice clean exit, now going into the fast middle sector. 27.3. Gets it slowed down into the hairpin. Bit of a locker, but short shifting into 3rd to maximise the traction. Oh, goes a bit wide, but just gets it close to the apex. Nice clean traction, no wheel spin. Going into the last two corners, let's see, maximising the track, kissing the apex perfectly. Ah, he's going to go box, I don't think he's happy about that. Oh, the slipstreaming. Nice, provisional P1. Pretty tight at the top, within a tenth. We can see that HMW and Inception have set the same lap time. Pretty tight between them. Gabriel is on his outlap. His teammate is about to finish his lap. Bit too much curve for there, but let's see what his lap time will be. 25.5. A bit quiet now. You see Gabriel on the medium tyres opting for the alternate strategy. Nice clean exit to open his lap up. Let's see what he can do on the medium tyres, which are around 8 to 9 tenths slower per lap, which will mean that he'll have to have a really nice clean and flying lap. Braking just over the 100 metre board, going a bit wide, but keeping it nice and clean, no oversteer. Bit wide again, but a nice clean exit, not maximising the track. 27.8, so he's 6 tenths off what P1 did in the first sector. And a bit wide again. I don't think the tyres are biting, maybe the tyres are too cold. I've had 2 or 3 stabs into the turn. I don't think he's liking these tyres right now. See B-Stas is on his lap, a tenth and a bit up, lock up, but gets it nicely to the apex. No wheel spin, perfect traction. Nice and smooth, no drama so far. Nice clean exit as well. Let's see what his time is on the line. 24.689. Improved by a tenth in a bit. With HMW on his lap. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead. Maybe a tiny bit of dirty air. The runner gets out the way nicely. 35 milliseconds up on his time. Nice clean exit. Bit of a lock-up, short shift into 6th gear, just to stop the oversteer. 2 and a bit tenths up, strong middle sector, not purple but very strong. He's in a good position to take provisional P1. Good clean exit, bit of a slide but still. 24.6, that puts him P1, but 30 milliseconds ahead of B-Stas. We have URL for Sikela spinning in the Ferrari. We have black box going to P1 by a tenth of a second. Cutting the corner a bit but not getting invalidated, which is good. Throwing it into that left-hander, maximising the track on the entry. Up the hill, nearly 3/10 up on his time. Riding the curb, not that good for his lap time, but it didn't really matter. Again, hitting that curb which just upset the car a bit, so let's see what his time is as he runs to the line. 25.1. Teammate is on the lap now, Gabriel. Let's see what he does. Bit of a lock up the 15 exit. 27.4, so 2.5 turns slower than P1 in the first sector. Short shifting for a cleaner exit. A 104 dead in the middle, how the middle sector split. Not the best, but could put him within around P10, P11 maybe. P16, not a good last the middle sector. I suspect the tyres are just falling away in the end. We have Randy Goat going to start his lap in the Mercedes. Bit of a lock up, goes a bit deep, but short shifting just to get that traction. Oh, he invalidates the lap. Unlucky duck. I don't think he'll have enough time to go to the pits and fit another set of tyres, so I think that's his qualifying done for today. We have Tesla on the lap. Nice, good turn 4. Just on the limit, nice. Slightly up on his personal best. Goes a bit deep. Could he get a slipstream from his teammate? Bit of Racing Point teamwork, which is nice to see. Climbing up the hill, let's see what his time is. He is 2/10 up. That slipstream definitely would have helped him. Bit compromised on the exit, but let's see what his time is as he crosses the line. 25.1, so he improves by 2/10, but it's only enough P10. Let's see what Sinatic can do, our reigning champion. Only 70 milliseconds up on his time so far. Mid-clean exit, maybe a touch wide, but shouldn't compromise it too much. Short shifting to 8th gear for some reason. I think he's backed up on this lap. Yeah, he has. Hopefully he's fueled up for a second lap. Unless his strategy is the P11 hard to medium. So we have our front runners on their outlaps right now. We're right on board with Black Box on his lap. Heading into turn 1, braking just at the 100-meter board. Gets it just a touch wide from the apex, but nice and clean exit. Up the hill into turn 4. Maximising the width of the track, good entry. Keeps it just within the line, perfect. A 10th up on his time. Down into the hairpin. Bit wide but short shifting just to get that traction. Good clean traction up the hill and down the crest. Turn 11. A bit of a lock up but gets it to the apex perfectly. Short shifting for a good exit. Throwing it into the left-hander. Nice clean exit, short shifting for traction. Let's see how the second split. Nearly 2/10 up. Bit of a lock up but gets it to the apex nice. Maximises the exit. Now going into the last 2 corners. Kisses that apex. Nice clean traction. Let's see where this is going to put him. 2/10 up. A 24.3. Let's see what the Haas can do going into the last turn. He's invalidated his lap time. Let's see what Dobby can do. Nearly 3/10 up. If he can gain a 10th, that could put him on pole position. Nice clean exit. Now the run to the line. Dobby gets pole position by nearly just 20 milliseconds. A very tight qualifying. And that's it for qualifying. Pretty tight top between Dobby and Black Box. Then 3/10 down, we have the rest of the pack. That's qualifying. We have Dobby in P1, 20 milliseconds ahead of Black Box with HMW in third, 3/10 down. Beastas, Centricity, James, Inception, Synatic, Zeman and WarX finish off the top 10. Just waiting on everyone to be loaded in. Alright, we're on to the formation lap. F1 Dobby on a bit of a quicker formation lap, potentially slowing it down at the end. We have nearly 2 or 3 different strategies. Soft to the hard, going to lap 9. If they can push it, then hard's to the end. Or we have the 2-stop, softs to 2 sets of mediums, or 2 sets of softs to the mediums, depending on the tyre wear. The 11 to 18 drivers will potentially opt for the hard to the medium strategy, which is probably the fastest strategy around Bahrain. As you can see, it's a bit of a mixed bag, with URL Tesla the leading hard runner. Bit of a large field spread, so hopefully it will close down so the front runners won't be sitting on the grid too long. As you can see, the strategies here. I suspect the top runners will try the soft to the hard, the 1-stop, which is possible, but they will be pushing the tyres to the limit at the end of the race. We're slowly lining up. I think Zeman and Wall had a bit of a collision on the formation lap, which resulted in them being disqualified from the formation lap. But we're lining up now for the first race of Season 2 for URL in Bahrain. Three lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's a go. Bit of lag. Let's see. There we go. A bit of lag. Apologies for that. I think Rivaco is probably lagged, or he jumped the start. We're not too sure. But up behind we can see P1 and P2 fighting. Black Box has to go wide a bit, but potentially getting a warning. We have a car spewed into the wall. I think that's Beastas who has crashed. Up ahead we have the virtual safety car now, which will neutralize the race. I can confirm it was Beastas that crashed on the exit of turn 3. James has been given a 5-second penalty, potentially for crashing under the virtual safety car. I suspect P1 Rivaco is a glitch, a bit of lag, so hopefully that gets sorted out. But we're still in the virtual safety car. Should be ending soon, I hope. And we're back underway. Black Box under pressure, sorry, Dobby under pressure. The Haas nearly goes into the back of Black Box. We're going down the straight. The Haas attacking black box now into turn 1. Going round the outside, can he brake? Black box defends his position quite well. He has to cut the corner a bit. Going back into turn 1. Let's see from behind. Bit of slipstream going on. Side by side with Inception and James. Going into the middle sector. James has to concede for now. So you can see up ahead, the Haas has damage going into the hairpin. Struggling to slow down, nearly hitting the Renault, but just about gets to slow down. Going to be compromised down the straight now. You can see Fanatic under pressure as well. Up ahead, Black Box extending his lead with the fresh air. His Eccentricity following behind. Confirmation that Ravato is disconnected from the race, so he will quickly fall back to the grid soon, to the back of the grid soon. Battles behind. We're going to see a lot of DRS trains today, I suspect. You need around a 1.5 to 2 seconds time advantage to be able to overtake around here. James losing a bit in the middle sector, having to go wide. Potentially getting a warning for that, not sure. Yellow flag behind. I think that's a Williams. Not sure. Yeah, a Williams. He's retired in the middle sector. We have Tesla and HMW at the back, potentially in collisions. Well, HMW had to box early for foaming damage. Up front, the gap is half a second. His Eccentricity really just wants to stay in the DRS, which means that Black Box has to burn more in the DRS just to stay ahead. So we'll probably see some strategic DRS training going on just to save DRS for later on in the race. As you can see, he's not using any of the DRS, probably just hanging back for now. Good Dobby with the fastest lap. Yeah, that's right. He's not attacking right now. Potentially tyre saving in the first stint, just to get to the later lap 9 and lap 10 potentially. The Black Box a bit out of shape. See from behind. You can see Dobby just in the DRS, just sitting behind. Naki had a decent start, up 3-4 positions. We have Zeman just behind the thing. He will potentially catch up the train soon. Bit of a lock up on Black Box. Gets it neatly into his time. They're quite defensive on the inside. I'm just going back out to the outside. From behind. On to lap 5, you can see gap 3/10 up ahead, then a further 5/10 back, and then another 5/10 back there as well. Eccentricity going for the overtake. Black Box defends down the inside, going wide again, just to compromise the line of the Haas. Keeps the position, the Haas on the inside, overtake mode, potentially diving it down the inside, but Black Box has the DRS. Just able to keep ahead, but he goes a bit wide. and that opens it up for centricity. But he hangs back for now. There's no point fighting in the middle sector. It will just cause a collision or lose time. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is James out of the race. Potentially, I think he's binned it at the hairpin. Yeah, he's binned it at the hairpin just on the inside. Virtual safety car is out. This will just allow them to save their tyres a bit more and fuel. Black box, quite a large gap. He needs to be careful that he's under the delta, otherwise he'll get a drive through. And he's back, green flag racing again. Going into turn 1, DRS enabled for centricity. Right underneath the nose. Black box goes a bit wide, but just about holds it. But here's where centricity will get a good run. Opting to not overtake. Maybe his engine is overheating or just wants to stay back for now. We have Inception following behind. Azim has managed to catch up. Sonatic not too far back, just one second behind. Potentially just tyre saving, but he's in no man's land right now. Randy, the lead medium or hard runner in this race. He's in a good position for a one stop. Comfortable one stop, I might add. Up ahead, yeah, I think Ventricity is just saving fuel in ERS, just using Black Box as the DRS tray. Dobby following close behind. I suspect he's doing the same thing as well. As we have a first person in the pits that hasn't had a collision, which is Sonatic. We'll see what tyre he goes on to in a sec. He's going on to the medium, so opting for the two-stop strategy around here, which is pretty powerful if you have the pace. So I think he's looking to get quite a big undercut. He could potentially gain 2 seconds, which could put him right into this battle for the top position. So let's see, Sonatic has come out in clean air, which is good. So you can just get a good undercut on the top guys. We'll see if anyone pits his lap for the two-stop. Bit of a wiggle on the exit. Now let's see if anyone goes into the box. Dobby faking it, but no, still staying out. I suspect they will be going for the one stop around here. You can see Zentricity trying to overtake, forcing Black Box wide. Can you get a good exit? Decent exit. Not able to get the perfect run, but now using all of the DRS up into turn 4. Going to try and go around the outside. Yes, he is. Black Box goes a bit wide, they touch. I'd say that's just on the limit. Maybe Dobby's fancying. Just hold it back for now. This fighting is important. If they fight up ahead, Fnatic can get a huge undercut on this, potentially taking first position with a 2 or 3 lap undercut. See, back here with the 3 medium runners in good position for the 1 stop. Let's see if anyone boxes this lap. Yep. Yep. No. Okay, so Black Box stays out, but we have Zentricity and Inception in the box now. So let's see. As you can see, they're on the hard tyres, so going for the 1 stop. They'll get a pretty powerful undercut, I feel. Fnatic sets the fastest lap of the race. Let's see where he comes out. So undercut works perfectly for him, ahead of Zentricity and Inception. So Fnatic is in prime position for taking P1 once the top 2 pit. Black Box struggling to slow the car down, really struggling on the tyres now. Go back, let's see. So we have, so Inception's lost time in the pits. It wouldn't help him, but hopefully they can counteract that with the undercut. We have the top 2 here with Zeman following behind. They have to pit now, otherwise they're going to fall 2 behind from the undercut. So let's see. Yes, they pit. Dobby just about slowing it down, so is Zeman. I think Black Box is pretty conservative in the stop. Let's see where Fnatic is now. Coming out the last turn. You can see the Mercedes has just left, so is the McLaren. So let's see where they're going to funnel out. And they have undercut with quite a large gap to Black Box. So this has worked out perfectly for Fnatic, Zentricity and Inception, who now take net P1, 2 and 3 in the race. Zeman and Dobby have lost time to Black Box in the pits, potentially getting held up. So we have Zentricity attacking Fnatic on the hard tyres so he can go to the end, but Fnatic is on the 2 stop. So he needs to try and push away from these guys. Up ahead we have Fisichella fighting with in this train behind Randy Goat and Gabriel. These guys will potentially be going to lap 12, 13 maybe, then putting the hard tyres on. Maybe potentially even later. We have Black Box trying to get into the DRS of Inception, setting a purple middle sector, so he's flying right now. We have up ahead, as you can see, just training, saving ERS, I guess. I mean, looking at what Randy has on the steering wheel, he's pretty low on ERS. Potentially struggling keeping the DRS of the car ahead Gabriel. Behind we can see that Zentricity has overtaken Fnatic. This is not good for Fnatic's race, as he is on the 2 stop. A larger gap behind, 2.5 seconds. If Fnatic can get pulled along by Zentricity, well, that means the gap behind will increase. See Black Box and Inception fighting. Black Box just about gets ahead. And Dobby far behind now, with Zeman going a bit deep. So let's see up ahead. Will Inception come back at Fnatic? I mean Black Box, sorry. see Randy is outside the DRS range of Gabriel, which is potentially struggling on his tyres. Fisichella is hoping he should be able to get by on this straight using his overtake mode now. A bit too far behind, I'd say, but he's gaining. Hopefully into turn 4 he'll potentially have a good run and overtake. Gets his slow down nice. Will he get a good exit? Nice clean exit, but Randy Goat got the same as well. Let's see. He's a bit too far behind. It's fine. We have Sonatic half second behind Zentricity again. The gap behind closing Black Box 2.2 seconds, so gaining 3/10 on that lap. We have Inception behind, within 7/10. Gabriel's struggling on his tyres a bit, lock up. Randy Goat is back in the DRS, so I suspect he's pushing the overtake mode just to get back into that DRS. As it's so powerful around this track. Up ahead, we have Gabriel in the pits for the hard tyre. Hopefully he can get good undercut so he can extend his advantage to Randy Goat. Let's see where he comes out on track. So Gabriel comes out in P10, 1.1 seconds ahead of Fisichella. 1.5, sorry, so I suspect they both be, but HMW overtakes them, but he is on the 2 stop with after his collision on in the opening laps. Let's see where Danger Times is. It says 6/10, but I think that's just a bit of a glitch in the game. We have Zentricity in the net P1. Sonatic is yet to box again for his second stop. Potentially seeing if he can push it to the soft tyres of the end. A Black Box behind. And let's see if Randy Goat will respond on this lap. And he does go into the box, slowing it down for the entry. So we have Lukester and Danger Times on the hard tyres, going to potentially lap 18 or 17, then putting the mediums on a pretty powerful strategy. So let's see how it funnels out towards the end of this race. We have Sonatic still in the DRS of Zentricity. He really needs to try and overtake and push, but I don't think he has the tyres for it right now. Now we can see Zeman falling away. He can't keep up with the net top leaders. Bit of a lock up. Oh, we can see War Rage losing it on the exit of the turn. He'll now have to push to try and get back into the DRS. This is for position. You can see Randy Goat pushing Fisichella through the turn. So I suspect this will be a easy overtake for him as he's trying to overtake into the last turn but backs out of it. You'll see down the straight using his ERS, not too much to play with, but with the DRS it should be easy. And he does get the overtake. Nice and cleanly. So hopefully now he can push along, overtake HMW who's yet to make a second pit stop. See Zeman going a bit wide, potentially getting a warning for that. With the same up here, just now they've bunched up a bit, so all getting into the DRS of each other again. We have Zentricity in the net P1 with Synatic still yet to hit the black box in third, catching up to Synatic who is potentially struggling on his tyres now. Yeah, Randy Goat 6/10 behind HMW, who is on old medium tyres, so he will be pitting soon, potentially for a second set of mediums. We have Synatic half a second behind Zentricity with a fastest lap, so showing he still has pace in these tyres. We have Luke still on the hard tyres pitting onto the medium. So we'll see how he goes towards the end of the race as his hard tyres will fall off slowly. But I think Synatic is now pushing for his pit stop now, so trying to minimise the time loss when he comes out. We have Inception half a second behind Black Box and Dobby another further 7/10 behind. So we'll see how Synatic goes onto this next DRS straight. Both locking up, but both get a clean exit. Synatic pushing pretty hard. I suspect he'll get the overtake on the main straight. Both locking up, but Synatic gaining a bit of time. 310 fine, potential easier overtake. Yeah. Hopefully Synatic can now start to slowly push away for his second pit stop, going, I suspect, on the soft tyres. We'll see how this goes. So behind, Randy Goat manages to stay ahead. We have Danger Times and War Rage here after being the pit stops. Fisichella does have a time penalty, I'll check those in a bit to see how they're going, but pretty clean driving from everyone. No penalty so far. We have Zentricity right behind Synatic, so he wants to push along, pressuring Synatic to use his ERS, I suspect. Both have a similar amount of ERS you can see on the steering wheel, so and Black Box right up, similar gap, 6/10 now. We'll see how the run on the main straight is. Stalemate for now, I think. Synatic using quite a bit of his ERS just to stay ahead. Struggling to push away, but that's just the nature of the track. As soon as you're in the DRS zone, you can just hold behind the new car. as HMW sets the fastest lap on his fresh medium tyres. Sadly for him, the opening laps have put him out of the fight for the top, otherwise he would have been up there. The gap up ahead, 3 tenths, 4 tenths now. Staying pretty similar. I suspect Zentricity could be trying to save, as yeah, he is saving his ERS. His ERS bar have gone up. They're not using 2, but he knows that Synaptic will be pitting soon, so he will need the ERS to defend the black box and Inception behind. As you can see, Synaptic is now pitting, potentially to go onto the soft tyres. We'll see later. Now it's up to Zentricity to hold Blackbox behind. He could strategically let Blackbox by just to save some ERS and attack again later in the race. Going into the middle sector. We can see Synaptic is on the medium tyres, but I don't think he feels the soft tyres could go 10-11 laps, which is understandable. So let's see how he goes on the medium tyres. He does need to catch 4 seconds to Luke's and a further 1.7 seconds to get into the top 10. So he is quite far, but he does have the pace, so hopefully he can get into the points again. The gap ahead, I think Zentricity is pushing along. The gap now 7 tenths of a second, so he's really trying to get out of the DRS. Using a bit of his ERS earlier in the lap. Bit of a lock-up. Gap nearly 8 tenths as he pushes along. Black box just saving his ERS, so playing it strategic, knowing that he doesn't need to use his ERS right now. And he can attack later in the race. And we have a bit of a battle going on now with Fisichella and Randy Goat. Trying to go for the switchback. Now run up a hill. He's got DRS. Let's see. No, he's choosing to hold back for now. We have danger times behind as well, very tight. This battle here, you can see that Fisichella does have a time penalty. We'll see what it is now. 5 seconds for potentially speeding the filling, or I think it was crashing under the virtual safety car earlier in the race. Up ahead, Black Box trying to crash the Zentricity, maybe just trying to force him to use his ERS. As he can just stay behind and reap the benefits of staying in the DRS. Using a bit of ERS now just to keep away from Inception. You can see Zentricity on around 30% ERS, just a third of a bar. So see Black Box pushing along around 50% ERS, so he really doesn't need to push so far. Just not sticking nose, but just letting Zentricity know that he's there. As we go from behind. We have Dobby and Inception fighting right now. Falling a tiny bit behind from Black Box and Zentricity, but still in the DRS, so he's able to see. Fisichella and Randy Goat still fighting. I feel Fisichella just wants to get past so he can push ahead. We have Gabriel getting a penalty for track limits. The gap for him 3 seconds to Randy Goat, so he is safe for that position right now. see Fnatic 1.7 seconds, so he's gained nearly 2.5 seconds onto Luxter, who is in a DRS train right now with War and Danger Times. So we have Black Box 4 tenths behind P1. So we have Luxter and Fisichella fighting again. As you can see, I think as we have Dobby, who's disconnected from the session, so this isn't going to work out for him. He's going to lose a lot of time to get back into the session. The gap's nearly 7 seconds to Zeman, so if he can get back in time, he should be able to hold position. As we have the gap 2 tenths up ahead, so Black Box still behind, but nearly 70% of ERS now. As we have Zentricity on 24% ERS, so he's unable to save, and Black Box are just pushing him. Danger Times just behind Randy Goat, so Fisichella must have made a big mistake. He's lost many positions now, even to Fnatic, who's now right behind on this train. He has to overtake them as soon as possible. Using the ERS, I don't think he'll overtake on this straight. As Dobby has joined back, but the gap is now 3.5 seconds, so while he was gone, he lost half of his advantage to Zeman. And he's also lost nearly 6 seconds to the top 3, so that's his podium chances out of the water, unless he can really push on. But Zeman has overtaken Dobby, so I don't think Dobby's back in the race just yet. So has Gabriel, so Dobby losing many positions right now, but as you can see, Fnatic is overtaking Luxter into turn 1. Hoping to get back onto the back of that Red Bull as well for a turn 4 overtake. See a back marker of Rivaco just getting in the way, but yeah, Fnatic is behind. I don't think he will be able to overtake into turn 4. But Randy going out wide, so maybe the Red Bull trying to overtake. Just a bit of lag and disconnection right now. Because I've lost the intervals, the drivers, so bear with me. Yellow flag in sector 1. I believe that is a Haas of HFW who has DNF'd out of the race. This is helping Zentricity just to save GRS right now with the virtual safety car out, but not good for Fnatic. He really needs to have more laps so he can push and overtake his drivers. As you can see, Black Box has nearly 75% ERS and Zentricity has 40% right now. With Inception around 65%, and no one pitting for soft tires right now. Dobby is now out of the points and his AI has boxed him for soft, so I don't think Dobby will be coming back to the race. He has lost many positions, but they're in green flag racing right now. We have Black Box with 75% ERS and Zentricity on 34, so he wasn't able to save that much under the virtual safety car, but we're back racing now. Let's see what Fnatic is. 2 tenths behind, so he's pressuring the Red Bull using his ERS and DRS to overtake. Good overtake. Up into P8 now. Now he can focus on Randy Go, but he loses the car, which allows the Red Bull just to sneak in, but managed to defend the position. So you have Black Box still 3-4 tenths behind Zentricity right now. We have Fisichella at the back of this train. Just 5-second penalty, and Luxter as well with his penalty of 3 seconds. So as of right now, Luxter will be in the net P10. if Black Box or Fnatic now gets a 3-second time penalty, which isn't going to help his race. Black Box still just holding back 75% ERS, so he's not really using any so far. We have Randy Go 4 tenths behind Danger Times, who's potentially struggling on his medium tyres now, as the hard tyres will slowly start to become a faster tyre. A bit of lag, sorry about that. So you can see Fnatic has been able to get out of the 1 second from the Red Bull, so he can now pressure the front two. See Black Box 3 tenths behind still. With Inception just falling away a bit, 7 tenths behind, so I feel like Black Box is pushing now. Trying to pressure the intensity as much as possible. Clean exit using DRS, I suspect he is potentially going to the overtake. No, he's not, opting to stay out the slipstream, so he's still staying behind. Just letting Zentricity know that he's there, filling his mirrors a bit. You can see Fnatic is now 3 tenths behind, so potentially going for the overtake. Yes, he is on Randy Go on the fresher medium tyres. Good clean overtake. I suspect Randy knows that there's no point fighting this battle with someone with fresher mediums. As we have a Ferrari out of Fisichella spinning it on the exit of turn 3, going from okay to bad for Fisichella right now, out of the points. As we have Fnatic still behind Danger Times right now. We have Black Box keeping the same gap. Inception has gained 2-3 tenths on the top two. Fnatic now half a second, potentially waiting for the next straight to overtake. We're back to the lead. As we can see, they are fighting for P1 now. As Black Box is able to get ahead, a bit of contact, but now let's see who's got the DRS up the hill. So he's interested. He does have the DRS. I suspect he will now just stay behind, save a bit of ERS, so he'll push on the final lap or two for P1. So Fnatic has managed to overtake Danger Times, which is good. With AlphaTauri falling behind, but Zentricity falling back 6 tenths now, so are his tyres falling away, or is he not able to cope with the tyre wear now? As these tyres will slowly get to the limit. Around lap 27, 28, they will get above 70%, so puncture territory will be coming soon. Gap now nearly 7 tenths, so Black Box I suspect is pushing away using his ERS. As Tesla sets a faster lap on Musoft. Double lock up into the last turn, losing 2 tenths, so he will have Zentricity behind. There's not enough straight to get by, but I feel like Zentricity will try and get a good run up the hill into turn 4. Not yet. I feel like Zentricity is saving his DRS for a final lap push. Fnatic is pushing, trying to get 3 seconds on danger times to keep P6. He is catching up to Gabriel right now, who does have penalties of 3 seconds. So as of right now, Gabriel is safe, but Fnatic is pushing, trying to get away from danger times. Heading into the last lap, on board with Zentricity using his ERS. This is one of the last chances for him to now overtake Black Box with P1. Running on 2-3% of ERS, just too far behind right now. As we go into turns 1, 2 and 3. Inception is right behind, could potentially spring an attack on Zentricity if he's not careful, but no. Fnatic 2.8 seconds out of danger time, so he's still trying to push ahead. Gabriel 3/10 behind Zeman right now, so he is trying to overtake, but he does carry a 3-second penalty. Going into the last few corners now, Black Box, comfortable P1 right now. Really hard to overtake from here now, 7/10 ahead, so just stretching his advantage. Trying to potentially go for a personal best. He's 20 milliseconds up on this time. So just using his ERS and pushing away. Fnatic has lost time to danger time, so the gap is now 2.2 seconds, so as of right now he will only get P7. But crossing the line, we have Black Box taking the first win for the season, with Zentricity and Inception coming second and third. Gabriel does take fourth, but Zeman will take fourth on the timing screens, with Fnatic P6 going down to P7 with danger times taking that position. Luke's the P9, War Rage. Crossing the line for the final points, P10, with Fisichella, who was running in the points earlier in the race, now in P11. And a shame for W, disconnected from the race in P12. Tesla's final car crossing the line, weaving a bit and crashing into the pit lane. We have our driver of the day, great Gabriel, in the Red Bull. See the podium. Black Box, Zentricity and Inception. Could this be a familiar podium for this season Division 1? Looking at time screen, so just confirming Black Box, Zentricity and Inception finish off the podium, with Zeben, Gabriel and Danger Times, Fnatic, Randy Goat, Lukester and War Rage in the top 10, with Fisichella, Dobby, Tesla and Ravaco finishing off with DNFs of Shedner, James, Lord Discodus and Beastas DNFing from the race. just want to say thank you for joining us for the first race of D1 this season. Hope to catch you next race.